Irish win over Georgia Tech 31-13. We'll talk about that game in a moment. But Tyler, let's begin with some injury news. The Irishman hoping to get back Billy Schrauth for their offensive line. Where do things stand on this Monday before they take on Navy?
Well, yeah, we talked to Marcus Freeman in South Bend, obviously, for his weekly Monday press conference today. And Billy Schrauth will be available for the first time since week 3. It was kind of the rash of injuries there in Purdue and West Lafayette that week there. And we know Notre Dame lost Jordan Botelho that week, lost Ashton Craig for the season that week, and Billy Schrauth has not played since then. We might see him play for the first time since that week 3 game against Purdue against Navy here in week 9. But here's the thing, Darren. I'm sitting there in Marcus Freeman's press conference, and I'm like, okay, he's available. But then Marcus Freeman says, we don't really know how much he can give us, and we'll just have to – it's literally a day-by-day process at this point. The good news for Notre Dame is it's an ankle injury, and Billy Schrauth has been suiting up for pregame warmups the last 2 games. So ever since Notre Dame came out of that bye week after the Louisville game, Billy Schrauth has put on his full garb of equipment, helmet all the way down to the cleats, shoulder pads, everything. And we've seen him kind of take some mental reps. And even I think he did some walkthrough stuff this past week at Georgia Tech. I was on the field and saw him suited up for that. So it's progress. But Darren, if you have a head coach saying, I'm not sure how much he can give us, that's not the best case scenario for an offensive lineman in terms of returning to play, because it's not like, let's use Mitchell Evans as an example. Remember the Texas A&M game where he's coming out of the ACL injury rehab, and we weren't sure how much he was going to be able to give Notre Dame? Well, it turned out he only gave Notre Dame 8 to 10 third down plays in that game. You don't do that with an offensive lineman. You don't run him out there for a couple of plays because, I mean, these are series. You're hoping your offense is out there for 6, 8, 10, 12 plays at a time. Very odd to see an offensive lineman go in and relieve senior Rocco Spindlers of his duties in that situation. Maybe there's a goal line play that you're like, okay, we really like Billy Schrauth's physicality. Let's bring him in and block for this particular play. But to me, Darren, I don't know if you see it the same way. It's either he's full go or he's not. And Notre Dame is still trying to get to the point of knowing if he is or if he isn't.
I think it's a huge decision this week, considering limited offensive series likely against Navy. You might only get 7 offensive series against the Midshipmen, so you have to get it right coming out of the chute. And I thought offensive line play was really up and down, pass protection-wise, against Georgia Tech down in Atlanta. And I thought that might have been one of the reasons why the offense got a little stale in the second half.
Here's the thing, though. I'll just say I'll get to that point in a minute, but one more thing on Schrauth versus Spindler, because that's really what this comes down to at this point is, is a 75, 80% Billy Schrauth better than 100% Rocco Spindler? Or everyone's dealing with something at this time of year, Darren, so maybe Rocco Spindler is only 85, 90. Whatever it is what Schrauth can give you better than what Spindler gives you. I think, like you said, the Notre Dame offensive line play has been up and down. You really need to point the finger there for the reason that Notre Dame's passing game in general has been up and down. I would even say, and I've said this on the Mike Goolsby show on Sunday night, Jadarian Price, he's averaging 6.7 yards per carry, but some of his feast or famine nature goes back to the offensive line. There are some runs where you look at the box score and you say, -1, -2 for Jadarian Price. He got stopped up at the line of scrimmage for a 0-yard gain. A lot of those instances, Darren, are because the offensive line is not blocking and doing its job up front for him. And then you just have a really special player in Price, and that's why he is still averaging 6.7 yards per carry because of that. Jeremiah Love averaging 6 yards per carry in spite of some of these offensive line inefficiencies and deficiencies. So getting back to your overall question, yeah, for an offense to operate at its full potential, you want as many of the top-end guys out there as you can. Obviously, Billy Schrauth, he's been a starter for this team. It goes back to the spring. You knew that he was going to win a job over a Pat Coogan and a Rocco Spindler. So if he's available, you want to play him. But Darren, I also see the side of, hey, we've gotten to this point, 6-1. We have not lost a football game with Rocco Spindler in there as an offensive lineman. Let's do that one more time. Maybe you can get by Navy, and then you have the bye week, and then I think you see Billy Schrauth against Florida State and Virginia and Army and USC to finish the season. So all that said, would not be shocked if they kind of wait one more week, because really you'd be waiting 2 more weeks. You got the bye week coming up after this Navy game.
Tyler, what about place kicker Mitch Jeter?
Yeah, it was cool that I was actually in Atlanta for the Georgia Tech game because I got to see his full warm-up process. He came out with the specialists. The specialists always come out first for every game. do their little stretches, do their warm-ups, yada yada. At that point, I'm thinking, okay, Mitch Jeter is going to play in this football game. Then it got time to start kicking the football, and I saw Zach Yoakum, the guy who was going to both ends of Mercedes-Benz Stadium, looking at all the different angles, the sight lines, all of those things. Mitch Jeter standing with his hands on his hips, which is ironic because it's the hip that's holding him out of these games. He's kind of in that same day-to-day nature as Billy Schrauth, I would say. The fact that, just like Schrauth, he was so close to potentially playing against Georgia Tech, suited up. And when Notre Dame came out in the gold helmets and the blue jerseys and the white pants, Mitch Jeter came out in all that garb as well, but he didn't take any kicks. So does that mean he's farther away than we thought? Is he right on the cusp? Not really sure. Marcus Freeman kind of said it's he needs to feel at a certain point to get to where he wants to be kicking the football. So again, would not be shocked if Zach Yoakum goes to MetLife Stadium and is your place kicker again. Eric Goins, I think he's booting him through the back of the end zone for a lot of touchbacks. I think that has been a good thing for Notre Dame with him relieving Mitch Jeter. But yeah, those are two just kind of questionable, not certain if either of those guys are going to play against Navy. Let's just put it that way.